Hey, it's Becky Bullard from Democracy back with Tarot for America. And today I wanted to talk about the tarot card of the year, which is the Lover's card. And how the tarot numerology people figure this out is they add up the numbers in the year 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, 6. And the sixth card in the tarot deck is the Lover's card. There's the Lovers. Um, and so I've been thinking ever since the year started about what does the Lover's Year mean for me? Um, and of course, people they hear the lovers and they think like sexy time stuff, but really, it's all about connection, relationship, collaboration, any kind of connection. And so, what I've been thinking a lot about for me this Lover's Year is I'm going to be very thoughtful and intentional about the relationships that I tend. So, the thing about lovers is it's mutual adoration, it's mutual appreciation, it's give and take. It's a two-way street. And so I've decided if there's any relationships where I've been reaching for them and they haven't been reaching back for me, I'm going to lovingly let that go because we have such limited energy. I don't want to waste my energy on somebody who's not reaching back for me. So that's sort of my take on the Lover's Year for me and what I'm going to be doing with my relationships, friendships, collaborations this year. And so, in thinking about that and maybe how it could apply to political organizing, the political world, I wanted to ask the tarot cards, okay, in this Lover's Year, if we are being very intentional about the connections that we tend and the relationships that we build, the collaborations that we are putting together for progress, where should we be looking for connection? How can we be building connection? How should we be thinking about this year as we're doing our political organizing? So I pulled 3 cards for us to answer this question. And the first card, Page of Cups. This card is such a fun card. This is the fuck it, let's have fun card. And so this is really all about doing the things that bring you joy. Filling your cup, quite literally, filling your cup. What fills your cup? Do that. And something unexpected, like a little fish might jump in there because like, oh, this looks like a fun full cup. And so I was trying to think of an example from my own life of like a fuck it, let's have fun moment. And in my mid-20s, I had come out of a breakup and was kind of bummed about that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about dating right now. I'm just going to do something that's like super fun and just for me. So I started doing burlesque and I was feeling myself. And it was like one of the most fun periods of my life, getting to do something that was very creative, that was like very much, it could be whatever I wanted it to be. I was like bedazzling my bras and, coming up with fun little routines and just like feeling myself. And it was so just fun and silly and had no real purpose. But I think what happened then, I think this happens a lot when we decide to let go of pursuit and just like sink into something that's delicious, is then we are sending out this energy that's like, my cup is full, like, and then somebody jumps in it. So in my burlesque phase is when I actually ended up meeting the guy who's now my husband. And for the first while that we were dating, I was like, but I'm not ready. I'm just having fun. I'm not ready for something serious. But anyway, that's the kind of like, fuck it, let's have fun energy that attracts unexpected connections. And so I love that this is what the cards are telling us is like, find your joy, do the thing that makes you happy. Another thing, another example where I think that this applies specifically in the world of organizing. This past weekend, I met an awesome woman named Bridget Guess, and she was telling me about how she wants to organize a block party in my neighborhood, actually. And I got really excited about that because I thought that sounded so fun, of course. But then I also started thinking about how, after the freeze here in Texas last year, I realized how few of my neighbors I actually knew, and how concerning that was when we were all worried about each other and didn't know if neighbors had food or water, or, elderly folks without internet had anybody checking in on them. So ever since then, I've really been thinking about how can I foster connection and community right where I live. And so I love that I just happened to meet this woman who was like doing it just for fun, but I think that the side benefits of it are going to be, beautiful things can happen when you build community, especially out of nothing more than the joy of getting together. And I think that kind of needs to be our next building block for political organizing, is worrying less about the way that we've always done it and the structures that we've always done it in, and think more about joyful connections and what can come from that. So, Page of Cups, super fun. Next card, Five of Wands. Okay, so in other decks, there's usually like 5 guys with wands that are all like, kind of look like they're fighting each other, but their wands aren't actually like hitting each other, and it's kind of chaos. And usually what this card kind of symbolizes, and it's been coming up for me a lot lately, actually. It's like when you're in a room full of people and nobody's really listening to each other. Everybody just wants to get their point across and sound smart and try and convince everybody else, but nobody's really receiving each other's information. And that's not helpful for connection, right? I think of the quote from Brene Brown where she says, "I'm not here to be right, I'm here to get it right." And I think that's helpful as we're looking for connections, especially in, like on the left, political organizing. We've got a lot of differing opinions about how people think that we should move forward. So I think we need to worry less about who is right and more about how can we move forward with respect for each other? How can we continue to be in a relationship without being attached to being right? And like, I think about my cats, right? Like with the cats on this card, my cats will wrestle each other, and sometimes it seems pretty brutal. They'll be like growling at each other and really biting each other, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And then like 2 seconds later, they're snuggling and like giving each other little baths. I don't necessarily think we should give each other tongue baths, but I think we can aim to have that kind of tussle with each other, a loving tussle, where afterwards we can make up and still be friends and keep the relationship top of mind above whatever the disagreement or argument or battle of wills might be. So that's our second card, the Five of Wands. And then our last card, Queen of Wands. And so we've got 2 Wands cards here, and these are about creativity and intuition. So creatively figuring out how to deal with disagreements with our 5 of Wands. And then Queen of Wands, I love her because she is fully herself. And I think what this is telling us about how can we create connections that are meaningful is the more fully authentic you are, the more you attract your people. And I found this to be true. If you can get vulnerable first, I found this to be true when we were doing the Rabble podcast and I was interviewing folks. Um, I would have such a better conversation with that person if I volunteered some information about myself that was vulnerable first. Then that disarmed them and allowed them to feel comfortable being fully themselves. So I think the more that we can all just exist in the world, like totally being ourselves and not being ashamed to be vulnerable and not being ashamed to acknowledge the parts of ourselves that we're working on, we will attract other people who are willing to be fully themselves too. And the more that each of us do it, the more it gives each other permission to do that. And I think that's really important as we want to foster meaningful connections, and as we want to work toward progress with people who are on the same page as us in terms of what we want. We might disagree about how we're going to get there, but we have the similar goal in mind. And we're going to just have fun and experiment and be in joy along the way. I think this is such an encouraging spread for us as we're looking toward making connections in 2022 and figuring out how to move forward. Because, it feels bleak, but it really is up to us to build the communities that we want to see and to create the power structures that maybe aren't even power structures anymore. Maybe they're just beautiful communities of people working together, sorting through their differences, having fun, and figuring it out together, and not being too attached to our egos to actually get the work done. So that is our Tarot for America reading today. Thank you for joining me. Please, if you have not yet signed up for the Democracy Book Club happening February 2nd at 8 p.m. Central Time, we are going to be reading, or if you haven't read it, that's fine. I'll just give you a book report. The book Controlling Women, What We Must Do Now to Save Reproductive Freedom, I think is what it's called. But, with Roe v. Wade very likely going away, this is a very timely book, and I'm going to have so much good stuff to share with y'all in that. So link is in my bio to sign up if you're on my Instagram. If not, you can go to democrasexy.com and sign up there. And I hope to see y'all there. Thank you for joining. Take care.